Borussia VfL 1900 mœnçənःɡlatbax e.V., commonly known as Borussia Mönchengladbach, Mönchengladbach or Gladbach, is a German association football club based in Mönchengladbach, North Rhine-Westphalia. Founded in 1900, Borussia Mönchengladbach play in the Bundesliga, the top tier of the German football league system, making their first appearance in the league during the 1965 Euro 66 season. Subsequently the club became one of Germany's best-known, best-supported, and most successful teams, winning the Bundesliga 5 times during the 1970s. Since 2004, Borussia Mönchengladbach have played at the 54,057 capacity Borussia-Park, having previously played at the smaller Bökelbergstadion since 1919. Borussia-Park is famous for its Nordkurve, a single-tiered stand. Borussia Mönchengladbach has over 60,000 members as of September 2013 and is the 5th largest club in Germany. Their main rivals are 1. FC LN. Borussia is a Latinized form of Prussia, a popular term in naming German clubs located within the former Kingdom of Prussia. The club's nickname is Die Fohlen, unregistered trademark N, coined in the 1970s due to having a young team with a fast, aggressive playing style. The official mascot of the club is the Folger 1/4 NTER. History, formation. Borussia Mönchengladbach were formed as FC Borussia in 1900 in the Aachen district of Mönchengladbach. Borussia derives from the Latinized form of Prussia, the kingdom in which Mönchengladbach was situated from 1815. By 1912, Die Borussen found themselves in the Verbandsliga, at the time the highest division the club could play in. In March 1914, the club purchased de Köln, the ground on which the Bökelbergstadion would be built. The First World War halted the progress of both the stadium and FC Borussia, but by late 1917 the team had begun to play games once more. In 1919, FC Borussia merged with another local club, Turnver in Germania 1889, becoming 1899 VfL Gladbach. The club tasted its first major success in 1920, beating KFL and ERBC 3-1, thus winning the Westdeutschmeisterschaft final. The union between Germania and Borussia only lasted a matter of 2 years. The club was thereafter known as Borussia VfL 1900 e.V. Gladbach, 1933 Euro 1945, football under the Third Reich. Following the rise of the Nazi Party to power in 1933, the German league system was reformed to consist of 16 Gauligen. Euro Gladbach found themselves playing first in the Gauliga Niedrigliga, and later in various Bezirksklassen. Also whilst under the Third Reich, Mönchengladbach's first ever international player was capped. Heinz Tietjens playing in a 9-0 win over Luxembourg for Germany in the 1936 Olympic Games. After the outbreak of the Second World War, play continued as usual, other than for the 1944-1945 season. Post-war until 1959, eventually Mönchengladbach resumed play in June 1946, gaining successive promotions to the Landesliga Niedrigliga in 1949 and the top flight, the Oberliga West in 1950. Following many years of promotions and relegations, Borussia won their first Oberliga title in the 1958 Euro 59 season. Ascent to the Bundesliga, in August 1960 Borussia Mönchengladbach defeated 1. FC KFL in the West German Cup. Weeks later, the club won the DFB Pokal, clinching their first national honours, beating Karlsruhe SC 3-2 in the final. The following year took on the now familiar name Borussia VfL Mönchengladbach after the city of Gladbach became Mönchengladbach. Further honours would have to wait a decade, however. Borussia's results in the 10 years leading up to the formation of the Bundesliga in 1963 were not good enough to earn them admission into the ranks of the nation's new top-flight professional league, and so they played in the second tier, the Regionalliga West. Mönchengladbach enjoyed their first taste of the Bundesliga in the 1965-66 season, earning promotion alongside future powerhouse Bayern Munich. The two clubs would go on to a fierce struggle as they challenged each other for domestic supremacy throughout the 1970s. Bayern took first blood in the struggle for supremacy between the two, winning the Bundesliga championship in 1969. Mönchengladbach struck back immediately in the next season with a championship of their own and followed up with a second title in 1971, becoming the first Bundesliga club ever to successfully defend their title. 1970s, Borussia's golden decade, Bayern Munich then became the first club to win 3 consecutive titles, with Borussia finishing only a point behind the champions in 1974. Die Fohlen were able to take some consolation in a 2-1 victory over 1. FC Köln in 1973 to win their second DFB Pokal. Under coach Heinz Weiseiler, the young side displayed an offensive-minded philosophy and powerful play that attracted fans from all over Germany. The team stayed on the attack and matched Bayern's achievement with 3 consecutive titles of their own from 1975 to 1977. Mönchengladbach lost the 1977 final of the European Cup to Liverpool, but also made 4 appearances in the UEFA Cup with wins in 1975 and 1979 against losses in 1973 and 1980. The club's spectacular run had come to an end with 8 trophies to their credit, and although they would continue to be competitive for many years, success would be much harder to come by. 1980 and beyond. Mönchengladbach's golden era ended in the 1980s as the club had to sell many of its best players to keep its finances in order, and without talented coaches like Heinz Weiseiler and Udo Lattek, it was not possible to compete with Bayern Munich. Even so, they managed to finish most seasons in the upper half of the league table, and in 1984, Die Fohlen were part of a 4-way race to the Meisterschale the Bundesliga Championship finishing 1 point ahead of Bayern, and tied on points with Hamburger SV and champions VfB Stuttgart, but behind on goal difference. In the same season, Mönchengladbach also lost the DFB Pokal final to Bayern Munich on penalties, Wilhelm H. the Currencius and Norbert Ringel's both missing from the spot after the game originally ended all square at 1-1. Mate the Currencius subsequently joined Bayern for a then record fee of 2.25 million DM, leading some fans to question whether he had deliberately missed his penalty. The team's performance slipped significantly in the 1990s and Die Fohlen soon found themselves struggling in the lower half of the Bundesliga table. They lost another DFB Pokal on penalties this time to Hannover 96 before winning their most recent trophy to date with a 3-0 DFB Pokal win over VfL Wolfsburg in 1995. Finally, in 1999, Gladbach were relegated to 2. Bundesliga, where they would spend 2 seasons. Upon returning to the Bundesliga in 2001, Mönchengladbach remained uninspired as they continued to be mired in the bottom half of the league. In 2004, Mönchengladbach appointed Dick Advocaat, who had guided the Netherlands national team to the semi-finals of the UEFA Euro 2004 tournament and was a successful manager at Rangers, as their new coach. The Dutchman, however, was unable to turn the team's fortunes and resigned in April of the following year. Former Mönchengladbach player and German international Horst Karl-Ppl was appointed caretaker for the remaining 5 fixtures of the season. Karl-Ppl had managed the club's reserves since leaving Borussia Dortmund in June 2004. For the 2006-07 season, legendary Mönchengladbach player and coach Jupp Heynckes was appointed as team coach. Borussia had taken steps to improve their financial situation with the construction of a new state-of-the-art stadium called Borussia-Park with a permitted capacity of 59,771 spectators. The club had long been hindered by playing in a much smaller and older facility, and with the opening of the new stadium in 2004 can look forward to increased revenues through higher ticket sales and the ability to host lucrative international matches. On the 31st match day of the 2006-07 season, Borussia Mönchengladbach were relegated from the Bundesliga after fellow relegation fighters Arminia Bielefeld upset Werder Bremen 3-2 while Mönchengladbach lost 1-0 at home to VfB Stuttgart. They were promoted back to the Bundesliga on the 32nd match day of the 2007-08 season after winning the match against SV Wien 3-0. Under coach Lucien Favre, who took over in January 2011, Borussia Mönchengladbach has in recent years shown ambitions to re-establish themselves in the top regions of the Bundesliga. In the 2010-11 season, after a disastrous first half of the season, Borussia Mönchengladbach managed to narrowly avoid relegation through the post-season relegation playoffs. The following season, 2011-12, followed this up with a strong season in which they were for much of the year in contention for the championship and eventually finished in fourth place. They missed out on qualification to the 2012-13 UEFA Champions League after losing 4-3 on aggregate to Ukrainian club Dynamo Kiev in the playoff round. During the 2012-13 Bundesliga season, after losing some key players, notably Marco Reus, who was voted Player of the Year in the Bundesliga in the previous season, Borussia Mönchengladbach still contended for the international places until the last match day, eventually finishing in 8th place. In the 2013-14 Borussia Mönchengladbach had another very successful year, achieving an excellent 3rd place after the first half of the season and finishing the season in 6th place, entering them into the 2014-15 Europa League competition at the playoff stage. Coach history, sponsors, kit manufacturers, players. For recent transfers, see List of German football transfers summer 2011 and List of German football transfers winter 2011-12. Current squad, as of July 6, 2014, note. Flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Coaching and backroom staff. Reserve team, Borussia Mönchengladbach to play in the Regionalliga West and are coached by Sven Demant. Note, flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Honours. Borussia Mönchengladbach's 5 Bundesliga championships entitle the club to display 2 gold stars of the Verdiente Meisterverein. National, Bundesliga. Winners, 1969 €70, 1970 €71, 1974 €75, 1975 €76, 1976 €77. 2 Bundesliga. Winners, 2007 €08. DFB Pokal. Winners, 1959 €60, 1972 €73, 1994 €95. Runners-up, 1983 €84, 1991 €92. German Super Cup. Winners, 1977, runners-up, 1995. DFB Liga Pokal. Runners-up, 1972 €73. European Cup. Runners-up, 1976 €77. UEFA Cup. Winners, 1974 €75, 1978 €79, runners-up, 1972 €73, 1979 €80. International, Intercontinental Cup. Runners-up, 1977. Other trophies, Kirin Cup. Winners, 1978. Joan Gamper Trophy. Winners, 1972. Orange Trophy. Winners, 1977. Marbella Football Cup. Winners, 2004. Youth, German Under-17 Champions. Winners, 1981. Under-17 Bundesliga West. Winners, 2009. Records, in the early to lately of 1970s, Borussia Mönchengladbach is first-ranked European clubs in each 5-year period listed by UEFA coefficient, Borussia Mönchengladbach is also attached to a number of Bundesliga records. Mönchengladbach has a fearsome record when it comes to laying a drubbing on other teams. On April 29, 1978, they beat Borussia Dortmund 12-0, the biggest winning margin ever in league history, as well as the most goals scored by a single side in a match. The Dortmund coach, Otto Rehagel, was not only immediately fired after the game, he also got the nickname Torregel. They also hold second place in the category for beating Schalke 4-11-0 on January 7, 1967, and third place for a pair of 10-0 victories over Eintracht Braunschweig on November 11, 1984 and Borussia Neunkirchen on November 4, 1967. The most penalties in a match is 5 in a game played between Mönchengladbach and Borussia Dortmund on November 9, 1965. In 1961, Mönchengladbach became the first German side in the Cup Winners' Cup. They were defeated, however, by Rangers of Glasgow in the quarter-finals with losses of 0-3 and 0-8. The quarter-finals were the first round then. On October 20, 1971, Mönchengladbach won 7-1 against Internazionale. But the match was cancelled due to an empty Coca-Cola tin can being thrown at Inter striker Roberto Beninsfner, who collapsed to the ground, supposedly hit by the tin. Inter launched a protest against the result and the UEFA granted a rematch to be staged in Germany, with Berlin's Olympiastadion chosen, which ended in a goalless draw. Players' honours: for a list of every Borussia Mönchengladbach player with 50 or more appearances, see List of Borussia Mönchengladbach players. Players of the club achieved the following honours: Player of the Year Europe. 1977, Alan Simonsen. 1986, Igor Belanov. Player of the Year Germany. 1971, Bertie Vogts. 1972, Gar1 NT Lyonetze. 1973, Gar1 NT Lyonetze. 1979, Bertie Vogts. 1987, Iran. 1990, Lefhelm H. The 1999 U.S. currency, Lefhelm H. The 2012 U.S. currency, Marco Reus. Player of the Year Australia. 1996, Damien Mori. Player of the Year Austria. 1986, Anton Polster. 1997, Anton Polster. Player of the Year Belgium. 2001, Wesley Sonk. Player of the Year Denmark. 1994, Thomas Helveg. Player of the Year Sweden. 1993, Martin Dahlin. 1995, Patrick Anderson. 2001, Patrick Anderson. Player of the Year USA. 1997, KZ Keller. 1999, KZ Keller. 2005, KZ Keller. Bundesliga top scorers. 1974 Euro 30 goals Euro Jupunks. 1975 Euro 29 goals Euro Jupunks. 1987 Euro 24 goals Euro Iran. 1995 Euro 20 goals Euro Iko Herlik. Goal of the year. 1971, Ulrich Lefebvre. 1972, Gar1 NT Lyonetze. 1973, Gar1 NT Lyonetze. 1978, Rainer Bonhoff. 1979, Harold Nickel. 2005, Kasper Gieland. 2006, Oliver Neuville. Goal of the season. 2012 Euro 2013, Juan Arango. References. Literature. Holger Ginrich, Das Borussia Mönchengladbach Lexikon, Gar Tingen, Verlag die Werkstatt, ISBN A3-89533-585-1, Holger Ginrich, Markus Aretz, Die von Niedheen. Vorjahr Borussia Mönchengladbach in der Bundesliga, Gar Tingen, Verlag die Werkstatt, ISBN A3-89533-503-7, Werner Jacobs, Rainer Kalb, Markus Aretz, 100 Jahr Borussia Mönchengladbach Euro die Borussen-Chronik, da 1 Quarter Verlag and Sport Networking, ISBN A3-934702-00-7, Helmut Grashoff, Susanne Grashoff, Meinlau Nichtdiva, 30 Jahr mit Borussia Mönchengladbach, Norderstedt, Radkenbad GbR, ISBN A3-0-016918-0, Marcus Aretz, Ingo Ra 1 Quarter TTEN, Aktovstiek, Borussia's Tagebach der Saison 2007/08, Gar Paragraph Tingen, Verlag die Werkstatt, ISBN A3-89533-626-2. External links, official website, English language homepage, Fohlenhortner Supporter Magazine in German, Seitenwalder Supporter Magazine in German, Borussia-Park the team's new stadium, tactics and lineups, Mönchengladbach statistics, Fohlen Commando, Torfabrik, Fußball Report.